हमें गर्मी से बहुत प्रॉब्लम थी. We are facing extreme heat in our house, and please give us some solution. So what could be the solution? So कई बार हमें ऐसा सोल्यूशन मिलेगा कि भाई एयर कंडीशन ले लो, फैन ले लो, कूलर ले लो. These are the solution we generally get because we know that, because many people are aware about it. And if I'm sitting in developed region or I belong to a privileged class, I would say yes, I think AC is a very good option, or cooler is a very good option. But what about the affordability? What about the electricity bill? What about the basic requirement people are not able to fill? 80 crores of our people are still on, I think, that below the poverty line, or they are getting some kind of, that uh, uh, assistance from the government. So what I'm saying this because this is the same thing exists with the air pollution. So air pollution is a novel thing, and for many of us, for Indian or global South people, this is a very novel problem. But what is happening? Many of our solution are based on, like, which is currently applicable in Western world or developed world, and we are trying to apply them here, and that is not. I think it's not practically possible, even though if you go, like historically about the Western problem, whether it's a California air pollution problem, London smoke problem, so they have not started with the, like a very detailed thing. There were some basics or some, that there are activity based approach. But what is happening currently in our country is that we are extremely obsessed with the Western research or so and work, which is, I think, very advanced, but we are not in that place. So first, we need to understand that. That's a very important thing. Another important thing is that we have a limited resources, limited money. So when we are working on the air pollution, we need to set our agenda, because there are a lot of people working on the different subject area. For example, somebody was working on the detail of the particulate matters, they are going minute, and very detailed level. That is very important. But that could serve as a long-term goal. That could be an academic study. But air pollution is the urgent need. So we need to set an agenda. So, like, what should be the short-term priorities? What should be our mid-term priority, and what should be our long-term priority? So what is happening currently right now in India? Like, we are confused between the academic research and the practical research. There are a lot of fundings which are focusing, I think, because the academic research, we have a more focus on the publication and paper publication, because I am an academician and I also worked on the that on ground, so I understand that we need papers. That's okay. There is no problem. But when we are working on the urgent solution, for example, COVID, I can't wait for a paper publication or something. We need to solve that. And air pollution is kind of that. And that is missing in our country, and we need to work on it. We need to identify whether this is the academic research or the practical research. What could be the current and future prospects of this kind of research, and what kind of solution we can get it. So we need to identify the solution into three categories: short term, mid term, and long term. That's a very important thing. Another important thing is that, like, in India, we have a very complex system, just like any country. Complex system like governance, uh, political system, corruption, and so many other things. So and the feasibility on the ground. So first thing is that, like, for example, if I say, oh, North India is having a very high air pollution. So North India is a very big, that region. So there are many states, many districts. So who will be responsible for that? So we are kind of centralizing the problem. I think that currently there is no administrative level information or data available. Like, what is how much you are contributing to the total air pollution at the district level, tehsil level, ward level, no information is available. Because why it is important? Because we have a management system at that level. Like we have a tehsil level system, we have a district level system, so we need to identify. We need to identify that yeah, this is what like आपकी city, आपकी district में इतना contribute कर रहा है. ये sectors है. Or I think another important thing is nobody, because I know the PM 2.5, I know the greenhouse gases, but if I go on the ground, nobody understands this. Even the high bureaucrats who are studying, who are highly educated, because we all have our limitation, we have our different subjects. But the thing is that this can be understandable, but if we can translate in their language, that is also we need to work on. For example, if I say, oh, for a waste management, like if I say like waste burning is contributing PM 2.5 emission this much or the concentration this much, and I'll go to the person who is working on the waste in a city engineer or a like a zonal officer, or for them PM 2.5 doesn't matter. They don't know anything about the thing. But if I say that आपके मोहल्ले में या आपके एरिया में इतना वेस्ट जलता है या इतना वेस्ट कलेक्ट नहीं हो पाता, that is the another important thing that we need to translate. So when we say that what should be our priorities, the priority is the first we need to identify our short term, long term, and mid term agenda. That's one thing. We need to translate these complex scientific jargons into the people's language, the people who are working on the ground. That is very important, that is missing. Another important thing, many times we say like uh, we do not have the capacity, we do not have the workforce. That's very important. But and we do not have practitioner. But if we'll get the practitioner, who is going to fund them? So if you see the air pollution funding area, you'll see the most of the funders are from the Western countries. We do not have any local funders, very limited local funders who are funding for the air pollution. Although air pollution is a very urgent problem, but if you see the major funders for the most of the projects, they are from the Western countries. So we need to develop an ecosystem where we need to attract our local funders who can support this cause. That is also important, you know. So this is also missing in our country. So so another important thing is that so what should be the that how should we proceed for the solution? So, for example, many times, oh, waste like agriculture crop burning is the one of the major problem. That's okay. But another important thing is that whether farmer has the capacity to just deal with that kind of thing, and whether we have the political system, whether we have administrative system, it's not possible because our farmers are very poor. I think that very poor farmers, they don't have even like a their, if you go to their income and their livelihood, it's very different. That you can't imagine like how I belongs to the farmer family and I know the situation of the farmer. So I can't expect like some kind of technology intervention or something like for the farmers. But it doesn't mean that we are not working with the solution. We do have a different solution. For example, we should go with the priority which is government priority. For example, Prime Minister Ujjwala Yojana. So why? Because Prime Minister Ujjwala Yojana, because if you see the air pollution contribution in India, the majority of the air pollution is coming from the household sector, which is the biomass burning in the household. So if we can work with the government to just improve the efficiency of the Prime Minister Ujjwala Yojana in terms of various aspects, because government limitation or the data limitation or something, that could be one immediate priority we can set up. Another important thing is the Clean India Mission. That is also a very important project where government is working towards the cleaning the cities or the village area. So we can work on the like a waste management and provide some kind of feedback. So this could be the first priority. Another priority is that like some missing links, very small missing links, like a fugitive emission. We can say that there are some sectors which are very easy to handle and like very easy to that manage. But the thing is that practical approach is missing. For example, Mr. Sandeep Naran, he's here. I think he showed an example. That is very important. That nobody. I think we should scale this kind of thing. That very, because if you see the solution, like I explained like a heat. I gave an example of the heat and air condition. So with the Mr. Sandeep Narayan, we worked together on the one of the first clean construction project in India, and that is the perfect example of the best solution. So there were so many very sophisticated solution, but we were able to, with this help of the Mr. Sandeep, now we were able to solve this construction related emission like 80% on-site concentration by just simply using very affordable practices, you know, which is I think which we need to translate on the ground. So there are missing links like eateries or something like, you know. So I feel I would not like to, more time, but I feel that we need to think systematically. We whenever we it looks good to talk about some that very advanced problem, but what about like how it translating? And if you see the air pollution related, most of the news articles and everything in English, everything is English, and majority of our population, I think they don't know. The people who are sufferer, they don't know anything about the air pollution because it's not in like a norm common language and their language. It's almost missing. Even if you go to the most of the air pollution conferences, you'll find like the same kind of faces. So I would say that air pollution is the current era smoking problem. Like just like I think a few years back, like we had a polio problem, we had a smoking problem, we had a large campaign. So same thing we need for the air pollution. And I feel somehow air pollution is kind of trapped in its, I call it elite trap. Elite people are discussing this problem. But we have a research and which we found that elite are the more highest emitters of the air pollution, and who are suffering most of the poor people and middle class people. So first thing is that we need to think systematically. We need to think very systematically. Whatever work we do, it should translate on the ground. Definitely it's not be 100% efficient. If it is 0.001% efficient on the ground, we need to work in that way. With this, I stop. Thank you so much for your time.